Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Mr. Reely's neighborhood, Mr. Reely's Bible class. It's great to see you today. You're looking great. Hope you didn't eat too much candy at Halloween, but hope you got some neat stuff. I did. We had quite a bit left over, which is the best part. So I've been just going crazy on little Hershey bars and Kit Kats and M&Ms and things like that. But today we're going to talk about a couple of things. And first, I want to start off by asking you a question. What is the funniest name you have ever heard? The funniest name you have ever heard. I used to live in Paragould many years ago, and somebody mentioned this name of somebody, and I just could not believe it at first. But then I saw it in a phone book. And there was a lady in Paragould, and she's not alive now, so I can say her name, bless her heart. But her name was Verbal Belch. I'll give you a moment
No
to kind of
way.
laugh at that one. In fact, I won a contest. It was called the Funny Name Server Contest, and I won first place in all of the United States. Okay, let's go ahead and say it, the whole world, because I turned that name in, and I got first place and won $25. Ooh. And I just, and I don't like to make fun of people's names really, but that one's just, really hard to resist. And I kind of wondered about the parents a little bit. I mean, their last name already was Belch, which you may know is another word for burps, okay? So you already have a last name that's the same thing as burp. You'd think when you're about to name your next daughter, you would make the first name a little more sweet and normal, like Emily or Elizabeth, something to kind of balance out the fact that your last name Belch brings up pictures of a burp. And so I just don't understand. I just see the mom and dad sitting there going, what do you think would be a nice name for our child? She's so beautiful. And the dad says, well, let's call her Verbal. I just can't picture that. Because verbal basically means, as opposed to writing something, you say something. It's like spoken or out loud. So basically they named her name means out loud burp. Verbal Belch. Poor girl. Roll call, nightmares, every day at school, teacher gets their name, Verbal Belch, here, what a nightmare. I could go on, but I won't. But we know names are very, very important. And so what I did when I was deciding how to decorate your classrooms at church, I thought I would use the different names of Jesus, because he goes by a number of different names throughout Scripture. And if you walk into the fourth grade classroom, I begin with the birth of Christ, and I use the Hebrew word Emmanuel. And Emmanuel is found 2 times in the Old Testament and 1 time in the New Testament. And that word means, in English, God with us. Can you remember that? Emmanuel means God with us. And what a great name that carries so much meaning. And we first see this in the New Testament, and really the only time we see it in the New Testament is in 1, verses 22 and 23. It says, all this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet, the virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. And this goes along with the theme in the fourth grade classroom, because this was, in Matthew, this was said right after it relates the story of Mary and Joseph and how the birth of Christ was to come about. And I think just in that name there, it can bring tremendous comfort to us and give one of the big reasons that Christ came to earth, and that was to be with us. Have you ever felt alone or abandoned or discouraged? I think one thing that can help you with that is just think about one of the names of Jesus. Think of Emmanuel. And if you think of that name, you'll always remember that even at your lowest times, that God is with you. And every time you see that canvas in that fourth grade classroom when you come back. Think of how God is with you in the great times and also in the most difficult times that you might have in your life. Now we're going to go to something that'd be kind of neat. I haven't done anything exactly like this on my videos, but I think you'll like it. But it is a recreation of a scene that happened sometime in heaven. Now you're going to have to kind of use your imagination. What I'm kind of doing here is imagine if it was somebody other than Jesus who was God's son. Somebody with not quite the attitude that Jesus had, that was being asked to come back to earth. And so we're just kind of play acting here. But I want to watch it, and then after it's over, we'll kind of talk about another important quality of Jesus that we need to have in our life, and how that attitude that he had started very much during the circumstances of his birth. Hey, Dad, how you doing? You busy? Well, I guess you're always busy, running the universe and everything. Anyway, this is your son. Well, I guess you knew that too. Why am I calling you on a smartphone? Well, I mean, I know I could kind of just like talk to you, but man, these smartphones are great. I mean, they just so much, just kind of like writing the hand. So I like to just thought I'd use it. Yeah, I've been working on. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did take the last of the Cheetos. Okay. No, I'm not getting it all over the phone or anything, because I lick my fingers real good. So, all right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take the last of the Cheetos. But anyway, what I called you about was, you remember how we kind of known for a long time that at some point that humanity needed me to go back down, and so I've kind of got a plan together on that, and so I've kind of written some notes down, and I was going to kind of see what you think. I was kind of thinking in terms of going down in a really big rocket ship, and rocket ships usually go up, but we'll go down, and you're thinking about what? Coming as a baby? Well, a baby on a rocket ship would be kind of cool, What, you're thinking about having me be born to a young couple? Okay, well I guess that could work. Okay, so I was also thinking about the rocket ship, which I guess is out now. Maybe if I still wanted to land like in Hollywood, there's a lot of cameras that can see me come, and I could be born into this real rich couple in Hollywood in a big mansion, and I'm going to be born to somebody that's not rich. Where am I going to be born at? Bethlehem. Where in the world is that? Oh, well, boy, that's kind of rough. It sounds. What's Bethlehem like in 2020, or you're thinking a lot sooner than that? About 2,000 years sooner than that? Okay, I'll have to do a little research on Bethlehem. It doesn't sound like it'd be anything like Hollywood or anything like that. But I guess maybe there still could be big mansions there or something I could be born in. There was no room for me at the inn, and I'm going to be born in like a stable. Oh boy, this really wasn't anything that I really had in mind, Dad. And my bed's gonna be a manger. What is a manger? It's like a food trough. So my mom and Dad, they're gonna lay me in a food trough, and I mean, like a cow could kind of come up and start putting his flappy lips on me or something while I'm lying in the crib or manger. Okay, yeah, I guess they wouldn't let a cow do that. They would take care of me. But Dad, this really isn't like I kind of drew it up at all. I'll have to kind of think about it a while if that's all right with you. Okay, and yes, I'll try to leave some Cheetos for you. Bye, Dad. I hope you enjoyed that little skit. And the intention of that skit was to try to kind of show what things might have been like if it had really been up to me or to somebody else instead of Jesus, and how he would enter this world and what kind of message he would be bringing. We know that God's plan that he had to save man was here from the very, very beginning. But obviously Jesus had to know about that plan. And I was just kind of imagining what it would be like if I was the Son of God. Would I have that same attitude that Christ had? And there's a part of me that says that no, it would just seem that I would have wanted to do things like with rocket ships and live in a big mansion and have all these cameras and everything around as I come down. And I think things might have been very different if it had been up to me. But fortunately, we have a God who knows the best plan, and we have the Son of God who had a willingness to humble himself to fulfill that plan in a way that we probably wouldn't have ever selected for ourselves. I'm going to read a passage that speaks to that in Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 8. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ, who being in the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. And being found in the appearance of a man, he humbled himself by being obedient to death, even death on a cross. And so we just see this mindset of Christ. And he had this mindset from the very beginning. From the time he was born into humble circumstances, and that characteristic was part of his everyday life for his whole life. So what does that mean for us? That means that's the way we should live every day in terms of relationships with our friends, with our family, mom and dad, people we know at school. It should all be characterized by humility. And can you imagine if everybody that you were with had that same mindset, that they were looking out to the needs of others more than themselves, how much better this world would be. And so we need to lead the way in that regard. So, in conclusion, remember, Emmanuel means God with us. That's why he came, and you'll never be alone because of it. And secondly, the quality that Jesus showed from the very time of his birth was humility. So really spend time working on your humility and not thinking of yourself more than you ought, and thinking about the needs of other people. I'll be thinking of you this week and praying for you. I love you. Stay safe.